Did I ever tell you about the time I was chased by dogs up a hill? Well, if you need a good laugh and a solid life lesson, stick with me. I call this one Facing the Toothless Barking Dogs of Life, and that includes situations and dogs.
This is Humor Meets Storytelling with Dr. Muthoni Omuhango. Welcome to our corner of the internet where wit shakes hands with wisdom, and every story is sprinkled with a dash of light-hearted humor. Here, you will find stories that tickle your funny bone while tugging at the heartstrings, inspired by everyday life, faith, and the vibrant beauty of African storytelling. Whether you are here to laugh, reflect, or discover a deeper truth, this space promises to leave you with a smile and maybe even a fresh perspective in your faith journey. Join us every evening at 6 p.m., the perfect time to unwind. Whether you're in a bus, in your car, or relaxing at home, plug in your headphones or turn up the volume. Take just 10 minutes to escape the hustle, share a laugh, and soak in life's deeper meaning. Listen to stories and words that entertain, inspire, celebrate the joy of storytelling, and draw us to God. It's a short life. Let's make it count. Tune in on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Spotify, and WhatsApp, and let's share a laugh together.
So there was a 13-year-old on fire for God. I had just shared the gospel with a young girl called Betty, about my age in our village. Feeling like a miniature evangelist, I promised to invite her to our Kesha overnight prayers at the Full Gospel Church. Betty's home was a 20-minute trek from ours. That evening, my almost twin sister Kainos and I set off to fetch her. Now, Kainos and I were known for our chatter. If there was an Olympic sport for talking and laughing, we would be gold medalist. The path to Betty's was new to me, but I knew the general direction because why ask for the exact details when you can guess? That sarcastic question, just in case you didn't get it. Always ask for directions in life so you can get there quickly. We made it to Betty's gate, which we found conveniently unlocked, so naturally, we invited ourselves in. The path from the gate to the house stretched before us, like something out of a suspense film. Suddenly, a dark figure darted across the path. Kainos, did you see that? I whispered. Yeah, what was it? She whispered back, her eyes as wide as dinner plates. We froze like statues in a museum. Exhibit titled Girls in Fear. Our imaginations were sprinting faster than Usain Bolt. Then, just as we were convincing ourselves it was nothing, two black dogs charged at us like they had been training for a village dog Olympics. In that moment, let me tell you, it was every girl for herself and God for us all. We bolted. Now, some context here. I was a plump teenager. Let's just say I didn't win many running races unless there were books involved. Just to think of it, I've always been a big girl. Kainos, on the other hand, was a skinny, spry 11-year-old who practically, floated when she ran. But that evening, friends, I outran her. Not just by a little, I left her in my dust. I didn't even pause at the gate. I went up the hill halfway home before I remembered I had a small sister. I know. When I stopped to catch my breath and turn around, there she was, huffing and puffing her way up the hill like a struggling marathoner. You left me, she gasped, glaring at me as if I had betrayed her to the enemy. I thought you were right behind me, I said, feigning innocence, but knowing full well I had only been thinking about my own survival. We had a hearty argument right there on the hill about loyalty, betrayal, and whether or not it was every girl for herself. Now, you can understand why I'm not a pet person, and from that moment, I knew I would live my life without the need for cats, dogs, and every other thing. But this life has taught me stuff. Houston, compromise is the simplified way of relationships. I have a husband, Patrick, and his children. Yes, in this case, his children, who love pets so much that we have two dogs, Charlie and Cookie, and two cats, Brave and Courage. Irony of life. Wow. Let's discuss this another time. Deciding it was too dangerous to go back, we waited near the gate. If Betty didn't show up within a few minutes, we were off to Kesha without her. Thankfully, Betty appeared, looking calm as a cucumber. What she told us next made us feel like the village's biggest fools. These dogs aren't dangerous, she said with a laugh. If you run though, they know you're scared and chase you just for fun. I stared at her. Those vicious beasts, not dangerous? Just as I was mentally drafting a strongly worded letter to the dogs, they came close to us. Betty casually patted their hands and walked us past them without a care in the world. Now, nearly 30 years later, I find myself reflecting on that night. How often have I run away from situations in my life that seemed terrifying, only to look back and realize they were all bark and no bite? What about you? Are you running from something today? Maybe a challenge, a God given assignment, a confrontation, or a decision that seems too big to face? Sometimes it's wisdom to run, yes, but other times it's wisdom to stand your ground and discover the teeth weren't as sharp as they seemed. Let's discern the difference, and maybe, just maybe, the next time life's dogs come barking, we will walk past them with confidence, just like Betty. So, here are my lessons today from this experience. 1. Discernment is key. Not every challenge or threat is as dangerous as it appears. Sometimes what looks like a fierce obstacle is simply a toothless dog testing your resolve. Pray for discernment to know when to stand your ground and when to walk away. 2. Fear magnifies problems. Running away in fear often makes situations seem more significant than they are. Fear causes us to leave behind what is valuable to us, like me leaving my small sister behind. When we stand firm in faith, we often find that the things we feared have no real power over us. 3. God has your back. Even when you're running or feeling unprepared, remember that God is with you in every situation. Trust in His protection as you face your challenges. 4. Don't let outward appearances fool you. Just as the dogs weren't dangerous unless when feared, some challenges may only appear threatening. Take a step of faith before making assumptions about the situation. 5. Encourage perseverance in God's assignment. When God gives you an assignment, it's easy to get scared and want to give up at the first sign of difficulty. Stay focused on His purpose, trusting that He equips you to overcome the hurdles along the way. 6. Learn from your mistakes. Reflect on past experiences where you ran unnecessarily and use those lessons to build courage for future situations. 7. Stay committed to your purpose. Even when things don't go as planned, don't let fear or failure derail you. Press on with what God has called you to do, trusting in His strength to see you through. And finally, humor helps us reflect on life. Finding humor in your experiences, even the scary or challenging ones, helps you see God's hand in them and reminds you not to take life too seriously. What better place to start than with empowering children? The key to life is knowing when to run and when to stand firm. Now imagine teaching this kind of discernment to children while their faith and character are still taking shape. What better place to start building resilience than during the formative years? This brings me to today's book, Christian Learns God's Rules, by Dr. Ernest Tashobia Katwesije from Uganda. Very interesting names we are learning. Did I mention he is the African Christian Authors Book Award Top Content of the Year 2024 in the children's category? Well, this is why. Much like the barking dogs on that hill, life challenges can be loud and intimidating, especially for young hearts still learning how to navigate right from wrong. This book helps children face such barking dogs in their own lives, situations that test their courage, obedience, and faith. Through the story of Christian, a young boy trying to understand God's commandments, children learn not to just understand the Bible, but to apply its lessons in their daily lives. In the story, Christian feels overwhelmed by the seemingly rigid 10 commandments, but with the help of his Sunday school teacher, Uncle Peter, he learns through a parable that these rules aren't meant to weigh him down. They are a guide to living a joyful and fulfilling life. Doesn't that sound a bit like learning to stand your ground instead of running from life's toothless dogs? It does. Ernest's book offers children the tool to recognize the barking dogs they inevitably face, be it peer pressure, fear for failure, or misunderstanding the purpose of God's commands. It's about teaching kids to stand firm, trust God, and realize that many of life's challenges aren't as scary as they seem. So, just as I learned to reflect on the unnecessary fear I felt that day on the hill, Christian learns God's rules, invites children to pause, reflect, and approach life's challenges with faith and wisdom. After all, some barking dogs only sound fierce, but with God's word, they are harmless. If we can teach this lesson to the next generation, imagine how much stronger they will stand when they face their own hills, dogs or no dogs. So, what are you waiting for? Grab a copy and start empowering the young hearts in your life today. Let's hear a little bit about Dr. Ernest and his inspiring journey into becoming an author or a writer that he is today.
Dr. Ernest isn't your average children's author. He's a Christian lawyer, writer, educationist, and transformational theologian from Uganda. When he's not crafting engaging children's stories, he's busy supervising prosecutions at Uganda's Inspectorate of Government, the anti-corruption agency. A man of many hats, Ernest also serves as President of the Society of Christian Scholars, Uganda Chapter, Deputy Minister for Education in the National Fellowship of Born-Again Pentecostal Churches, Board Member and Company Secretary for the Christian Writers Association, Uganda. Ernest oversees discipleship, youth ministry, and projects at Kasangati Full Gospel Church, where he's part of the leadership. And if that's not enough, he's also an alumnus of the Institute for National Transformation and General Secretary of the Oak Seed Association. Ernest's writing journey began in nursery school when most of us were busy eating crayons. He saved his pocket money, not for sweets, but to buy children's books from Focus Uganda. His first publication came in P1 when he authored a maths textbook for his brother in nursery and retold stories from English textbooks. He even asked his dad to publish his works, but, well, his dad laughed it off, as dads sometimes do, conversation for another day. Later, Ernest developed a passion for the Bible, reading the King James Version cover to cover in primary school. Fast forward to today, and he's the proud author of 15 published books and has edited or supported the publishing of about 10 other works. Ernest's life mission is as impressive as his resume: to support people, groups, and Christian organizations through transformational teaching, mentoring, and providing legal, corporate, and administrative support. Writing and publishing are among the tools he uses to execute this calling. Christian Learns God's Rules is the first in a series of children's Bible stories aimed at helping children understand and live out biblical truths. This book is a must-read for kids, parents, teachers, and ministry leaders who want to make Bible teachings come alive for the next generation. We will be reading it in Mama Africa Book Box by CLC Kids and Teens this year, 2025. Let your kids join us. Thank you for tuning in to Humour Meets Storytelling with Dr. Muthoni Omuhango. As we wrap up, remember that a little laughter goes a long way, and every story has a touch of God's grace woven into it. Whether today's episode made you laugh, reflect, or see life through a fresh lens, we hope it added joy and meaning to your day. Don't forget to share the laughter and inspiration. Tell a friend, a colleague, or even your bus seatmate about this podcast. You never know who needs a little cheer and hope in their journey. Join us again tomorrow at 6 p.m. for another 10 minutes of joy, wisdom, and storytelling. Until then, keep smiling, keep believing, and keep making every moment count. Stay connected, stay inspired, and most importantly, stay rooted in God's love. This is Humour Meets Storytelling with Dr. Muthoni Omuhango, signing off with laughter and love. See you next time.